Hello, I'm Brian from Igmao Pens. I'm a doctor, a fountain pen enthusiast, and hobbyist nibmeister in Australia. Today, I'm going to show you how to fix a splay tine. In fountain pen world, we have a saying that every pen can flex at least once. What I'm going to demonstrate to you is using the appropriate pressure to write using this supposed to be stiff fountain pen nib. Here is a nib that is on ground with a ball tipping at the tip that I use to customize for my clients. A fountain pen nib basically is a thin piece of metal with this ball tipping, and most of the fountain pen that's sold out there in the market are considered a stiff nib like one of these. So when you have a stiff nib, you write on a line that should be very consistent as a line in most angles. When you have a flex nib pen like one of these Magna Carta Max 600, you have a nib that you can put some pressure down. Then you can go from a thin line to the very thick line. This piece of metal is very flexible and bounce back after you put a pressure down. However, in a regular nib like this one, when you put the pressure down, it might open just very slightly at most and doesn't change the line with very much. When you try to do it harder and firmer, you risk of causing permanent changes to the nib that resulting in the splitting of the tines with a gap that's too big to allow the ink to flow through anymore, just like this one. It's a word of warning. Every time you try to take the nib out of the pen, try to fix it yourself. If without experience, there's always risk of damage, temporary or permanent. This video is only meant for someone who is willing to take a risk of damaging the pen to be able to learn the new skill of repairing their own pen. Take it as a pinch of salt. How do you fix this nib? There's a few ways you can do this. So first way is to apply a gentle rolling pressure at the back of the nib. Don't push too much pressure, especially on the gold nib. You might risk of bending the nib forward and risking permanent damage. So by putting a gentle pressure, still a bit of a gap. By putting a bit of a gentle pressure, sometimes I'm able to restore the tine gap in the nib to make it right normally again like this. But sometimes when you push too much pressure, it bends forward and damaging the nib. So you want to go slow and start gentle with this repair method. Another method is called the overlapping of the tines. I'm going to take a nib that's out of the body to demonstrate this one. So here's an example of the same nib. So this method, you push and split and cross the nib back and forth and back and forth until you have this nib touching each other. But this method can put you at risk of misaligned tines like this one. So it's a fairly easy fix you have to do. Just do this same thing again until you get closely aligned. This one. And this requires a bit of a gentle touch to get it fixed. Now I'm going to demonstrate how do we fix the same splay nip on the Pilot 742. This is a pen that's sent all the way from West Australia, the splayed nip. I'm going to attempt to fix this nip on the camera. So I'm going to try some gentle pressure here first, which I don't think going to work because the nature of this nip is a very soft and bouncy nip. So nope, not working at all. So what you can see is this is a pen that's filled up with ink. So I think it's best to take it off the nib unit on the pen to fix it outside the body. There's different way of removing it, requiring a lot of gentle pressure and pull. Luckily, most of the Pilot pen, the fit is not rather tight, so it's fairly easy to pull out using some material, soft materials with a grip, with a gentle pull to get the nib off the body. Give it a gentle click. I like to use this kind of microfiber cloth that you're able to get some grip on the nib and the feet without causing risk of micro scratches to the gold nib, which can be fairly sensitive. And now we have a nib. It's a split. You can see the light passing through this one. So I'm going to try to be very gentle in realigning this nib, as you can see. The nib not only is split, there's also a bit of a canyoning. Means the bottom opening is bigger than the top opening. You can see from this angle very clearly. So this requiring a more gentle touch. I'm going to start to embed it backward. Okay. So I'm just going to try to overlap using the overlap method to get this gentle fix for the tine gap. It's a very soft nib, means require a bit more gentler approach, and also really try to be gentle to avoid you can risk permanent damage to this kind of nib. So in a flex nib, like a Pilot size 10 FA nib, you want the tip of the tipping to be completely touching on each other like this. So you can see there's no longer a gap between the tip. So when this nib flexes, you open up the tines, close it back up when you lift up the pressure when you're riding. So step one, fix. And step 2, how do you bend the two balls from opening at the bottom to close up together like this? So I'm going to get some tools out. What I have here is a small surgical clamp and wrapped with the plastic tipping to reduce the risk of scratches to the metal. I'm going to put it under amplification so I can see properly. Maybe a little bit left. Maybe a bit more on this side. And this one's going pretty well. And another way of looking at this one. So now this one got a tine gap that's nicely closed up. A canyoning of the tipping that's nicely bent back to shape. And sometimes you might get a nib that is too warped or damaged to fit very well into the feed and nib unit. We have the tool over here called a nib block. A nib block can be used with a jeweler's hammer, some burnishing tool to help bending it or hammering back to shape so it can fit into the feed. And if you got a nib that is not in the right shape, you can have a feed that's not touching closely with the nib, and the ink won't flow properly. Luckily, this nib was actually in a fairly good shape. It's fixed now. Let's put it back to the pen and see if it works well. Oops. Sometimes, see that? When you have a nib that's apparently fixed, you put back into the pen, the caps open up again. So it does mean there's a bit of a issues where the pressure on this uneven shape or the feed is pressing against the nib to open up the tine gap again. So I'm going to do some gentle fix with that. do is having an ink soaking test. I intend to do is to dry up the feed. See if there is a tiny gap in between, still let the light flow through. Then we've got a pretty good tight feed. The ink flows really well every time I get ink soaked up in the nib. The ink can even flow against the gravity. And we check on the alignment. It's a fairly good alignment. And a quick test on the paper. Well, thank you for listening.